It's only been a few hours since the crisis hit, and already people are scrambling. Supermarket shelves are half empty, and confusion is spreading like wildfire. Think grabbing a few cans will save you? Think again. What you're not being told about grocery survival could mean the difference between making it through and watching your family go hungry. Yesterday, the world looked the same. But today is different. Shelves are emptying, panic is growing, and time is running out. People thought they could just grab a few essentials, but the real threats, the ones that could break you, are hiding in plain sight. Because survival isn't just about what you eat, it's about what you don't eat, what you forgot, and what you never thought you'd need. A simple oversight now could cost you and your family everything. This video is your no BS guide to the 7 grocery survival items that separate those who thrive from those who barely scrape by. Let's dive in before it's too late. Number 7, coffee and tea. When the grid goes down, the power flickers off, and the silence of a powerless world sets in, it's not always the big things that hit hardest. It's the little comforts, like a warm cup of coffee or a soothing mug of tea that keep your sanity intact. Most people think of coffee and tea as luxury items, but let's be real. In a survival scenario, they're morale lifelines, and that matters more than you might think. Let's talk about functionality. Coffee and tea are lightweight, shelf-stable, and easy to store. You don't need refrigeration, and with the right setup, you can boil water and enjoy a brew anywhere, anytime. In other words, they're portable sanity. Now let's get tactical. Instant coffee and tea bags are your best bet. Why? They require minimal equipment and no fancy filters or brewers. Plus, they're compact, meaning you can stash them in your bug-out bag, your glove compartment, or even a coat pocket. And let's not forget caffeine, which is a natural stimulant that can help keep you alert, focused, and motivated during long, stressful days. Tea also offers the added bonus of herbal varieties. Chamomile for sleep, peppermint for stomach aches, green tea for a gentle pick-me-up. These aren't just luxuries, they're small doses of mental and physical health when the world is falling apart. But wait, you might be thinking, why not just drink water and skip the extras? Here's the harsh truth. Survival isn't just about staying alive, it's about staying human. And humans need small comforts to keep morale high and panic at bay. When everything else is chaos, that morning cup of joe or tea can feel like a lifeline to a world that's not entirely gone. Still not convinced? Let's go even deeper. In a barter economy, when cash is worthless and goods are king, coffee and tea become currency. People will trade almost anything for a small luxury that keeps them sane. Having a stash on hand could mean the difference between negotiating a safe passage, getting crucial supplies, or being left in the cold. It's psychological gold. So sure, coffee and tea might seem like indulgences at first glance, but in the darkness of a prolonged blackout, they're lifelines that keep your mind sharp, your spirits lifted, and your trade game strong. And let's be honest, who wouldn't want to keep that small sense of normalcy when the world turns upside down? Number 6, salt and seasonings. But let's face it, good spirits alone won't feed you, so let's move on to the core of any survival kitchen: salt and seasonings. Because let's be honest, the second that blackout hits and the fancy meals stop, you're going to realize very quickly that bland food isn't just boring, it's demoralizing. And in a crisis, morale can be the thin line between staying strong and giving up. Let's start with salt. It's the unsung hero of the survival world. Forget fancy protein powders and quinoa for a moment. Without salt, even the most gourmet meal tastes like cardboard. But it's more than just flavor. Salt is essential for your health. Your body can't function without it. It regulates fluids, helps with nerve function, and even supports muscle performance. In a high-stress, high-sweat environment, your body loses salt faster than you'd think. Now imagine a scenario where you've prepped all the right foods: canned meats, grains, protein powder, but every bite tastes like paste. That's not just a morale killer, it's an appetite killer. And if you're not eating, you're not getting the calories you need to stay strong. Salt fixes that instantly. But salt alone can get old fast, right? That's where seasonings step in. Think garlic powder, onion powder, dried herbs, black pepper, cayenne, even curry powder. These aren't luxury items. They're survival essentials that transform your basic rice and beans into a meal that feels comforting and familiar. In a world where your mental state is constantly under assault, that familiarity can be the difference between holding it together and falling apart. Let's talk practicality. Salt and seasonings are lightweight, cheap, and incredibly shelf-stable. They can last for years without refrigeration. You can store them in small containers that fit easily into any bug-out bag, making them perfect for both home preps and mobile setups. And let's not forget that in a barter economy, salt was literally used as currency in ancient times. Imagine trading a teaspoon of salt for a can of soup when everyone else is eating bland beans. Now that's leverage. But let's get even more tactical. Seasonings can also help you manage food fatigue. When you're eating the same survival foods day in and day out, the monotony can crush your appetite. That's a dangerous thing in a crisis. A dash of spice or a sprinkle of herbs can make even the most repetitive meals feel fresh again, keeping your appetite strong and your energy level steady. And don't forget that some seasonings have additional health benefits. Cayenne pepper, for instance, can boost metabolism and help keep your blood flowing in cold conditions. Garlic powder has antibacterial properties that could give your immune system a small but meaningful edge when medical care is hard to find. Black pepper can aid digestion, which might be a real blessing when your diet is limited and stress is high. So, while most people are busy hoarding water and batteries, you'll be the one with a secret weapon in your pantry. The power to turn survival into something that feels, even just for a moment, like living. Number 5, versatile staple grains. But to actually fill bellies, you'll need the backbone of every survival diet, aka versatile staple grains like quinoa, barley, and millet. Why are grains so important? Let's break it down. In a blackout scenario, whether it's a natural disaster, grid failure, or civil unrest, calories become currency. Your body needs fuel to keep going, and carbs are the easiest, most efficient way to get it. Forget the keto craze. When it comes to survival, carbohydrates are your best friend. They provide quick energy, keep your metabolism steady, and help preserve protein stores in your body so you don't start breaking down muscle for fuel. Now let's talk about the heavy hitters. First up, quinoa. This ancient grain is a powerhouse. It's one of the few plant-based sources that's a complete protein, meaning it contains all 9 essential amino acids your body needs. That's a game changer when protein is scarce and meat is a luxury. Plus, it cooks quickly. Boiling water, 15 minutes, done. No fancy equipment, no fuss. In a crisis, speed matters. Next, barley. This one's a true survival classic. It's hearty, filling, and versatile enough to use in soups, stews, or as a standalone side dish. Barley's soluble fiber helps regulate blood sugar and keeps you feeling fuller longer, critical in a situation where food might be rationed. And unlike rice, barley doesn't get mushy or bland when cooked. It holds its texture, making every bite feel substantial and satisfying. Then there's millet, an unsung hero in the survival pantry. Millet is naturally gluten-free, making it a safe choice for people with sensitivities. It's also highly adaptable. You can boil it for a porridge-like breakfast or toss it in soups to add body and calories. And let's not forget, millet is one of the most drought-resistant grains on the planet, which means it's grown in places where other crops fail. That's a resilient story right there. Let's talk about storage. Grains are a prepper's dream because they're easy to store. They last for years if kept dry and cool, and they're compact enough to stack up in bins or buckets. Unlike canned goods that take up tons of space, grains are dense. One 5-gallon bucket can feed a family for weeks. That's a lifeline in a blackout. Now think beyond survival. Grains can be the heart of creativity in the kitchen, even when the lights are out. Mix quinoa with a handful of dried herbs and a dash of salt, and suddenly you've got a meal that feels comforting instead of grim. Add barley to a pot of canned chicken soup, and you've transformed a thin broth into a hearty stew. Even millet can be sweetened with a little honey and cinnamon to make a morale-boosting breakfast that starts the day on the right foot. And don't forget barter potential. Imagine the neighbors are living on instant noodles while you've got buckets of quinoa. That's leverage. That's community building power. That's the kind of planning that doesn't just keep you fed, but keeps you connected. So while everyone else is grabbing bottled water and toilet paper, you'll be the one with the real secret weapon. A pantry that feeds you, fuels you, and keeps you strong when the world is anything but. Of course, carbs alone won't cut it. You need protein to stay strong and healthy. Number 4, shelf-stable protein sources. And when the lights go out and the fridge stops humming, every bite of protein you have on hand becomes a survival asset. Think of protein as your body's secret weapon, a fortress that holds off weakness, fatigue, and even disease. Let's get one thing straight. Protein isn't just about building muscle. It's about maintaining energy, supporting immune function, and keeping your body's core systems firing on all cylinders when stress is high and resources are limited. In a blackout, Your body is working overtime just to maintain homeostasis. Protein is the fuel that keeps all those systems running. So, what should you stockpile? Let's start with canned chicken. This one's a no-brainer for survival. It's fully cooked, ready to eat, and packed with high-quality protein. Unlike raw meat, it's safe to store at room temperature, and it's versatile enough to use in soups, stews, or even eaten cold straight from the can. Pair it with some grains or seasonings, and you've got a meal that feels almost normal. Then there's shelf-stable tofu. Some folks might raise an eyebrow, but hear me out. Tofu is incredibly versatile and can last months without refrigeration when properly packaged. It's a complete protein, meaning it's got all the essential amino acids your body needs. Plus, it's plant-based, which is a big deal if you're rationing meat or catering to dietary restrictions. Toss it in a soup, saute it with canned veggies, or mash it up as a protein-packed spread. And let's not forget protein powder, the ultimate survival supplement. In an emergency, scooping protein powder into a cup of water or mixing it into your oatmeal can instantly boost your protein intake without requiring any cooking. Look for high-quality brands with minimal additives, ideally just whey, pea, or soy protein with no extra sugar or fillers. Protein powder is lightweight, portable, and has an incredibly long shelf life, making it an essential in any prepper's pantry. Now let's talk about something a little off the beaten path. Dehydrated bean flakes. These are a game changer for preppers. They cook quickly and they're packed with protein and fiber. Unlike whole-dried beans, which can take hours to cook and precious fuel to soften, bean flakes are ready in minutes. Plus, they're easy to mix into soups, stews, or even tortillas if you've got some flour in a hot pan. But why is shelf stability so important? Because in a blackout, refrigeration is a luxury you can't count on. When the grid goes down, your freezer becomes a ticking time bomb of spoilage. And once that meat or dairy starts to turn, it's not just a waste of money, it's a potential health hazard. Botulism, salmonella, E. coli, these aren't just fancy words on a health inspector's report. They're real threats that can take you down faster than any looter or power outage. That's why these shelf-stable protein sources are non-negotiable. They give you flexibility, safety, and security in a crisis. They're the difference between an emergency turning into a tragedy or becoming just another challenge to overcome. Don't forget about barter potential either. Protein is always in demand. While everyone else is trading for candles and batteries, you'll be the one with the goods that can actually keep people alive. That's power. That's leverage. That's community building at its finest. So while the unprepared scramble for whatever's left on the store shelves, you'll be the one with a rock-solid protein plan, a plan that keeps you strong, nourished, and ahead of the game. And to cook all this, you'll need the ingredient that holds every meal together. Number 3, multi-purpose cooking oils. Let's talk about something that often gets overshadowed by flashy survival gear. Cooking oils. You might be thinking, oil? Really? But let me tell you, when the power goes out and every meal matters, multi-purpose cooking oils can be the difference between thriving and merely surviving. Without oil, you're staring down a menu that's dry, bland, and let's face it, downright miserable. Oil is the secret sauce that brings every meal to life, adding flavor, texture, and crucial calories, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. First, let's talk refined coconut oil. This isn't just for smoothies and fancy baking, it's shelf-stable, meaning it can last years without going rancid. It's packed with calories, about 120 per tablespoon. So even a small spoonful can boost the energy density of any meal. When you're rationing food during a blackout, every calorie counts. Coconut oil also has a high smoke point, which means it's great for frying, sautéing, or even making emergency candles. Yes, that's right. If you run out of candles, coconut oil in a makeshift wick setup can buy you precious hours of light. Then there's avocado oil. Like coconut oil, it's high in monounsaturated fats, which are heart-healthy and calorie-rich. Avocado oil boasts a neutral flavor that works well with almost any dish, from frying up protein to drizzling over grains. It also has one of the highest smoke points of any cooking oil, so you won't end up with a smoky kitchen every time you light a stove. But why focus so much on multi-purpose? Because in a blackout, versatility is king. You can't afford to stock separate oils for baking, frying, and salads. You need 1 or 2 oils that can do it all. Sauté, bake, fry, even moisten dry grains or add a quick calorie boost straight from the spoon if you're in a pinch. Both coconut and avocado oil fit that bill perfectly. Here's something most people overlook. Oil isn't just a cooking ingredient, it's a survival tool. Ever tried starting a fire with damp wood? A bit of oil-soaked cloth can act as an emergency fire starter. Need to loosen a rusty hinge or squeaky door? A dab of oil can do that too. Even small wounds can benefit from a protective oil barrier to keep dirt and bacteria at bay until you can get proper treatment. Another often forgotten reason to stock oil: calories. When stress levels are high and your activity level might skyrocket from hauling water, chopping wood, or just keeping warm, your body needs fuel. Fat is the most calorie-dense macronutrient you can pack, more than double the calories of carbs or protein per gram. That means one small bottle of oil can pack a bigger energy punch than an entire box of crackers. And let's not forget shelf life. While some oils go rancid quickly, refined coconut oil and avocado oil are champions at staying fresh in challenging conditions. Store them in a cool, dark place, and you've got months, sometimes years of reliable fat and cooking fuel. A final tip: invest in small containers. If the grid's down and you can't cool your food, opening a giant jug of oil might be wasteful. Smaller bottles let you ration, rotate, and share oil without exposing your entire stash to the elements. Number 2, long shelf life. Water. Now we're getting serious. Hydration is the top priority in any crisis. Forget fancy gadgets and high-tech gear. Without water, you won't last more than a few days. And while everyone thinks they know this, the real danger comes when they realize their standard tap water or even those big plastic jugs from the store aren't enough to see them through a blackout or disaster. Here's the hard truth. In a blackout, water stops being something you take for granted and starts being the most precious commodity in your home. Municipal water systems can fail, pumps can shut down, and even well water might stop flowing if the grid goes offline. You can only haul so many buckets from a nearby stream before exhaustion sets in. That's where long shelf-life water steps in as your lifeline. Let's talk specifics. Brands like Aqua Blocks and Blue Can are not just marketing gimmicks, they're engineered for exactly this scenario. Unlike standard plastic water bottles that degrade over time, these are designed to last 5 to 50 years depending on the packaging, with no plastic taste and no risk of leaching harmful chemicals. That means you can literally forget about them in your closet or under your bed until the day you need them, and they'll still be good as the day you bought them. Think about that for a second. The blackout hits, power is out, water pumps aren't running, and everyone is in panic mode. You open your closet, and there's a clean, sealed box of drinkable water that's been waiting patiently for this very moment. That's not just preparation, that's peace of mind in a bottle. Now, let's get real about the numbers. The average person needs at least 1 gallon of water per day just for basic hydration, more if it's hot or if you're sick, pregnant, or physically active. And that's before you factor in water for cooking, washing, or even minimal hygiene. Let's say you're prepping for a family of 4 for just 1 week. That's 28 gallons minimum. That's a mountain of water if you're relying on standard store-bought jugs. But with long shelf-life water, you can store these gallons in compact, stackable, leak-proof containers that won't crumble under pressure or turn your basement into a swamp. And here's another angle: security. In a crisis, your neighbors who didn't prepare might get desperate. A stash of water and easy-to-carry bottles might make you a target. But with long shelf-life water packed in durable, nondescript boxes, you can tuck them away discreetly, out of sight and out of mind. Let's not forget about versatility. Some of these water options are even designed to withstand extreme temperatures. So if your shelter is sweltering hot or freezing cold, your water stays drinkable. And while boiling or filtering might work in a pinch, prepackaged emergency water eliminates the guesswork. No chemical treatments, no worrying about bacteria or heavy metals, just clean, safe water when you need it most. But let's get even more practical. You're stuck in the dark, the kids are scared, and the stove's cold. Maybe you managed to get the camp stove going and you're boiling up some of that rice and beans. Guess what? You need water to cook it. You need water to clean up. You need water to drink. Without it, every step in that survival plan falls apart. And finally, the one thing that can truly make or break your survival plan. Number 1, powdered milk or milk alternatives. If you think milk is just for your morning coffee, think again. Powdered milk and its clever cousins like shelf-stable oat milk and coconut milk powder are survival gold when the lights go out and the fridge turns into a lukewarm box of regrets. Let's get one thing straight. Milk isn't just about making your coffee creamy. It's a nutritional powerhouse that can stretch a meager food supply into satisfying, balanced meals. Protein? Check. Calcium? Check. Vitamins? Check. When you're staring down a blackout with no grocery store in sight, that's the kind of nutrition that keeps bones strong, bodies moving, and minds sharp. Think about it. What other single item can turn a sad bowl of dry cereal into a morale-boosting breakfast, or transform a handful of grains into a creamy porridge, or make instant mashed potatoes actually taste like real mashed potatoes? It's the difference between surviving and thriving when the world's turned upside down. But let's talk practicality. When the fridge goes warm, fresh milk spoils fast. Even ultra-pasteurized milk from the store might only buy you a few extra days, hardly enough to weather a long-term outage. That's where powdered milk steps in like the superhero it is. Stored properly, it can last anywhere from 2 to 20 years, depending on packaging and storage conditions. That's not just a shelf-stable staple, that's a food insurance policy you can count on. And it's versatile. Let's say you've got some canned fruit, but it's a little tart. Mix a bit of powdered milk with water, pour it over the fruit, and suddenly you've got a sweet treat that's comforting and nutritious. Or maybe you've only got a handful of grains left and they're feeling a bit bland. Rehydrate some powdered milk, stir it in, and now you've got a creamy porridge that's both filling and satisfying. And don't forget about baking. If you've got a small oven or even a makeshift solar cooker, powdered milk can transform flour and water into bread, pancakes, or biscuits. But let's get even more real. Powdered milk is lightweight and compact. Unlike bulky jugs of liquid milk that take up precious fridge or cooler space, a single canister of powdered milk can produce gallons of the good stuff with just a splash of water. That means you can store more of it and carry more of it if you need to bug out. What about milk alternatives? For those who are lactose intolerant or want plant-based options, shelf-stable oat milk or coconut milk powder steps up to the plate. These alternatives still pack essential calories and nutrients, and often come with long shelf lives that rival traditional powdered milk. They're perfect for families with dietary restrictions or those who just want to mix things up. And here's a pro tip. Powdered milk doesn't have to be boring. Add a little sugar or honey, and suddenly it's a treat the kids will actually look forward to. So while everyone else is raiding the bread aisle and wondering why the milk shelves are empty, you'll be sitting pretty with a pantry full of powdered milk, ready to tackle anything from breakfast to baking to bedtime cocoa. So there you have it. 7 essential grocery survival items that can transform a chaotic blackout from a crisis into a manageable challenge. Remember, it's not about panic buying. It's about strategic planning and thinking ahead so you're not caught off guard when the shelves go empty and the water stops flowing. So let me ask you, which of these survival items is already in your pantry and which one are you grabbing first? Let's hear it in the comments. Stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you in the next video.